On to our next topic, and let's talk about Conan O'Brien, who was speaking out about the current state of late night TV. And so, if y'all was expecting Conan to want to come back to late night, this ain't happening based off of what he said. But I'm glad he said what he said, because what he said was the truth. And what he's saying is basically what I've been saying for a long time. Hence why I'm like, if I ever wanted to come to a point, and there is a point that I would love to, y'all know one of my biggest dreams, a lot of people have dreams and things. One of my big dreams is to host my very own late night talk show. And it definitely will happen down the road. I truly believe that. And you have to believe it before you make it happen. But the way that the late night shows are, the old guard surrounding it, I do agree with him where he says that the situation is dying. So Conan O'Brien basically said that late night shows will eventually disappear from TV amid the seismic change in the industry. But that hosts like Stephen Colbert, whose late show run will end next year, are too talented and too essential to go away. Now, speaking at the TV Academy Hall of Fame on Saturday, O'Brien, a veteran of late night Conan, and briefly The Tonight Show, said that yes, late night television as we have known it since around 1950 is going to disappear, but those voices are not going anywhere. There's a lot of fear about the future of television, and rightfully so. The life we've all known for almost 80 years is undergone seismic change. And this is what he said via Variety. However, O'Brien, who successfully pivoted to streaming and podcasting after his late night run ended, added that those platforms and how younger generations are now ingesting comedy, as traditional television and its constraints are a high protein, chewable, vanilla flavored capsule with added fiber. Now, could you be any more shady saying that? Because I'm like, that is a ding, 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 ding moment where he basically said that, yes, comedy in traditional television sense is, and its constraints are a high protein, chewable, vanilla flavored capsule with added fiber. So it's saying like it's boring, it's stagnant, it's nothing exciting or interesting about late night TV. When you look at it, it's a bunch of old white men, Andy Cohen included, who just sitting around at a desk, except him. He sits in them ugly ass blue chairs that I'm sure many people have farted in and probably smells all kinds of swamp ass. But, them all sitting there with his little gas, and they doing the whole little, we talk and the band and all. It's like, okay, this whole situation is not interesting. I just feel like the way people receive comedy, the way people receive interviews is so different now than the way the old guard was during the days of Johnny Carson and things of that nature. So the whole idea behind late night, I do feel like it needs a reinvention. And you got, and so I could definitely see someone like a Stephen Colbert, once his show is done, don't look at this as a bad thing. Go book you a deal, get you a podcast, do something or another. I mean, the one thing I always thought about Stephen Colbert, or I could be wrong, like, wasn't his show supposed to be kind of like a parody of late night shows? And then he got into this thing, which kind of made me like look at him a little sideways. The recent Kamala Harris interview where y'all sitting there like two wounded dogs because you just got your show canceled, and then Kamala's on there like a wounded dog because she lost the election, and she's like, "Oh, you have to read the book. You have to read the book. If you want any information about the book, you got to read it, ma'am. You on a show doing a whole interview about your book. You got to give people something, a reason to want to read it. So you can't just be like, it's in the book." Okay, and what the hell is the point of you being here? So if you're going to kind of do all of that and play into the anti-Trump Democrats are the victims, when they equally participants in a lot of the policies of where we are, and not call them out on some of the stuff that they're doing and the lack of fighting from AIPAC, Shakur, aka Hakeem Jeffries, and Chuck Schumer, no neck having ass, and that big old humpback he got, and all these other idiots that's just going around taking AIPAC money. Like, we can go here all day with the politics. But the late night whole guard, it's boring. I don't find any of these people interesting. Jimmy Fallon's a kiss ass, so I don't like him. And then he's bringing on Fox News people after this whole thing that happened with Colbert. So you sitting up there like a damn cheerleader with your little pom-poms in the audience with all the late night people, probably because your publicist or whatever told you to participate, even though you probably low down or deep down didn't want to do it. And then you sit up there with all them late night hoes acting like you standing in solidarity. And then a week later, you bring on a Fox News nutbag and a racist and a Nazi. For what? Because you want to play patty cake with the Trump regime, so that way they don't come after you next. Like this, so I just didn't understand the whole point of why you stood in solidarity with Stephen Colbert, but then the next week you went around like, you know, parting the cheeks of the Trump party and then decided to lick Trump's ass crack so that way you wouldn't get dogged, even though you ended up getting dogged anyway, because people felt like you was a sellout. But I've always said this, Jimmy Fallon ain't nothing but a baby rump kisser. He's always come across as that. So I'm glad that somebody like Conan O'Brien's like, you know what? I'm making so much money doing podcasting. I'm over here on the other side of it, and the young people do know who Conan O'Brien is. So he's over there doing his own thing. He's doing his own brand of unfiltered comedy, whether you like it or not. He's found a way to make his money outside of the constraints of linear corporate television, where you got to follow a certain blueprint or a certain way of doing things in order to have that money coming. And like, that's great. If you want to sit there and just be a cuck for making a little $10 million doing a boring ass late night talk show every year and just going through the motions instead of really getting up there and feeling like, because for me personally, when I work or if I'm doing something, I have to have a passion for it. It's like with this. I'm making nowhere near the money that a Conan or even a Jimmy Fallon or the rest of these other people are making doing this. But I have a love and a passion for what I do. And I feel like that comes through at the end of the day. And to me, if I was ever in that position, I have to be able to feel like I'm waking up in the morning and I really want to be here, that I really want to work with these people, that I really want to entertain the people at home. And if the passion and the energy and the feeling isn't there, then I'm not going to do it. I'm old enough about at a point where it's like, I'm not just going to go through the motions just because I'm getting a fat check and I get to live the life of luxury. I need ways to keep myself entertained and challenge myself. And so, hopefully that Stephen is hearing this, because I saw that Jimmy Kimmel actually came out in defense of Stephen Colbert, calling it BS, that the reason he was losing so much money for CBS is the reason. I feel like late night is going, like we said, late night is not as prominent as it once was. They're just keeping it around because it's just filling up airtime, and that works with the advertisers for now. But you can't sit up here and say the timing of what happened with Stephen Colbert doesn't reek of suspicion. So I'm glad Conan came out and said what he said. And he also said that in regards of the evolving landscape, he said, I choose not to mourn what is lost because I think in the most essential way, what we have is not changing at all. So he's literally saying like what I was saying before, like the format is still the same. Nothing's evolved. Nothing has changed. And when they'll realize that the ratings are going down the toilet because y'all just giving people, I just thought, you know what, maybe old people are watching these shows because it's just comfort food. It's on, it's there every night. People are watching it. But to be honest, when you look at a lot of these celebrities, they're not even doing a lot of these late night shows. I mean, they're getting these little softball, corny ass questions, but then they're going on the Call Me Daddy podcast, they're going on so many other podcasts, the Josh Horowitz show and all these other podcasters, and they're going a little deeper with a lot of these celebrities. And I feel like you can't really get an interesting story out of somebody with a 5-minute interview. Those days are over. Now it's like about the 2-hour, 3-hour podcast with your favorite celebrity. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story and what Conan O'Brien had to say about the future of late night TV? I do feel like it's dying. I'm glad that somebody finally, who was in the whole nightlife space, is addressing the elephant in the room. So I'm glad he said what he said, because he was 1,000% on point. I was going to say 10 toes down, but he's 1,099.9999999% correct in what he had to say. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts on this story in the comments down below.